Everybody, this is Tim here again, here with another video. This is I figured I'd do a comment and finally do my commentary this time for the first Nightmare on Elm Street. So if you want to sync up with me, I thank you for being here, for listening to my stupid butt talk about this movie, which I'm going to try not to bore the hell out of you. But if you want to sync up with me, I'll give a countdown right now. Let's see, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Alright, play. Alrighty, we got the New Line logo coming up right now. Old school New Line logo before we get the more refined one that kind of looks like a piece of film strip. New Line Cinema, Media, Home Entertainment, and Smart Egg Pictures presents. What the hell is Smart Egg? I've always wondered that. I know it's some kind of company that's probably helped finance the flick or whatever. I'd like to look that up and get some more information on that. I just love this opening here. Craven does a great job here in just the way this is filmed, and how I just love the dirty look. And you know, you got Freddy building his glove. That's great. I love that. This just sets the tone so well for the film. This and Scream are probably my two favorite Craven directed flicks in terms of his directing. This is his best though, by far. In my opinion, this film is a masterpiece. A Wes Craven film, baby. Oh, I love the shot of the glove. I'm trying not to fanboy too much over the flick, but I'll try to keep you entertained at the same time. A Nightmare on Elm Street. Oh, I love the claw. Actually, watching it now after seeing this film probably a billion times, to be honest, just because I love Freddy and the character and the film so much, is kind of fun doing a commentary for it. This being my first one ever, this is kind of fun. I'm not sure how you say her last name. What's her name? Like Amanda Weiss or Weiss, as Tina in her nightgown, pretty much, running around these dark corridors. This is great. It's a setup for one of my favorite random Craven things here coming up. I'm sure most fans will know it when they see it. This friggin' sheep. When does it happen? Should just be a few seconds. Come on, sheep. Yeah, there it goes. That lamb. Oh, shit. That just is so weird to me that shot's in there. I have no idea why the hell Craven put that in there, but that just fits perfect. Also love the design of the boiler room here. It looks great. And just the cinematography looks great here. The look of the flick. So grimy with a dirty feeling, but yet sharp at the same time. I also like how the movie tries to trick you into thinking Tina will probably be the main character, but really she's not. And I can see some people being tricked on that for the first time watching it. Sorry about that. So that's interesting. And I love how right here when Tina's like on the upper half of the boiler room, and if you look down you can see like Freddy's shadow or whatever, kind of like where he's roaming. I just love that creepiness that Craven brings here. And just the idea in general of this movie, how Craven set it up with a killer in dreams, is just genius. This isn't the best horror film ever made. It's one of the best. I don't think it is the best, but the idea of a killer in your dreams, man, that it just has so much potential. Such a fantastic idea. It can be so creepy. And honestly, this is the scariest the character has ever been in this film. New Nightmare comes close to matching it, but the climax of that film just doesn't equal this thing. This jump scare right here works great as well. This actress does a good job as well. Wait for it. Wait for it. It's coming. Oh, damn. That's scary. I always found this instance kind of funny about how we get here pretty much how Craven like views the parents and how pretty much useless they are for helping the children. It's a pretty cool setup right here where we get it, where the mom comes in wanting to help the child, and she just pretty much, you know, she's got a man over and she pretty much just wants to get it the conversation over with the kid and just wants to get the hell out of there. He doesn't seem like the father. I guess he would be like maybe it seems like her mom's probably divorced and this is like the new man or something. She just wants to get the hell out of the room and go back and lay back down. So I just love that setup. I also love this creepy factor here set up with Tina grabbing the crucifix. This is great. I'm going to be gushing over the film a lot in case you guys didn't know. I am a fan. So a little, I can't help but be gushing to some extent. I just love the creepy factor of this, of how it segues into the children jumping rope and then goes over to, you know, Nancy and her friends, featuring, well, Johnny Depp, which most people know this is his first film. And I just love that because it adds like a dream of quality to the film, that even in the scenes where you think the characters are awake. And that's one of the things that this film does that the other sequels never seem to mesh as well with the whole is it a dream, is it reality type thing. This film does it the best, in my opinion. And also is a great setup for the ending, which I'll get to when we get there. We got the characters going to school. We got Rod Lane here, which he's an enjoyable character. Nick Corey, the actor's name. He does a good job. Johnny Depp in his first film role. It is kind of weird seeing Johnny Depp so young here and so un-Tim Burton-ish. Like later in his career, he plays pretty much nothing but Tim Burton characters, which is fine if that's what he wants to do. But you know, it's weird seeing Johnny Depp just as like an average guy here. I think his character is supposed to be a jock, and he doesn't look jockish at all. He looks more like somebody that honestly would be part of the nerd community, really, or just kind of like the average guy, I guess. But he's good. He's good in the film, but I will say that I find his character to be the weakest, or at least the least interesting in the film. He doesn't have really a lot to do, and he doesn't get as many memorable lines as someone like Rod does, really. But he's not bad, though. He just kind of seems like the one I forget about the most. Of course, this is the famous tape scene where they play the tape inside the player and all these crazy ass sound effects. Johnny Depp using his bullshit excuse about where he's actually supposed to be. One thing I wish is that I wish Nancy's like ghost or spirit, since she dies in number 3, spoiler, I wish it would have kind of came back for one of the later flicks. I know they do something like that in the comics, but it would have been cool if they would have brought her back for one of the later flicks as like an Amanda Kruger type character, as a spirit to help the kids defeat Freddy in whatever particular film they brought her back in. If they ever do a sequel to Freddy vs. Jason, which I'm sure New Line would probably do, they found a script that they thought was good enough. I would love to see a Freddy vs. Jason 2 that brings back, well, at least one of the most beloved characters from both franchises. Tommy Jarvis from the Friday the 13th films would be perfect. And if you can't get Nancy Heather Langenkamp back as a spirit or whatever, please at least bring back the Dream Master, whose story was pretty much never finished except in comic book form, but it just doesn't mean as much in comic book form, even though the comic was fine. It would be much cooler to see it in live action. Have her here, have her there in the movie, or at least her son from the Dream Child. But anyway, back to the original flick here. I just love how this sets up that all the characters are having similar dreams, like Johnny Depp's reaction where he's listening in. It just helps set up the tension and the dread that, you know, maybe there's more going on here than meets the eye. I also love how the Langenkamp's like hand gesture she does when she's mimicking the claws. That's great. I heard that she made that up on the spot, which is even funnier. Here we go, setting up for the jump scare. Go check it out. I love this franchise. Big slasher fan. Hell, I can even find some enjoyment in Freddy's Dead, despite it being terrible. The only one I can't really get anything out of is the remake, because it just felt like there was no effort put into the film. If they have to recast Robert Englund, they have to recast him, but good lord, at least put some effort into the script. It just felt like such a cash grab. It felt soulless, is my biggest problem with it. And just mimic way too much from this film. Whenever you do a reboot or a remake, I mean, it was a remake, not a reboot, but every time you do a remake of a modern a horror masterpiece, you have to go a completely different way. You got to do the reboot territory, which was kind of like Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead, how he did something totally different but still honored most of what came before, or some of it, or enough of it to where you could feel like it was the similar type movie. They should have done something like that with the Nightmare on Elm Street. Done something totally different, and not just repeat scenes from the original with worse effects. Worse effects in 2000s than 1984 is honestly pretty embarrassing. Oh, we got Rod back in the picture here. Look out, he's got a switchblade. I love Johnny Depp's reaction right there. You know, building up to the sex scene. Now we know why Tina dies. Oh, Johnny Depp's denied. None for you, buddy. Of course, establishing Nancy as the one who doesn't want to get any. So she's, you can kind of see the transgression there to her becoming the hero, since she doesn't want to screw around. She's got to keep her mind on more important matters, which is good. Of course, some Craven comedy here. Johnny Depp here and everybody else screwing while he doesn't get any. The worst fate for the man. Even worse than his death by Freddy. Well, probably not worse than that, but still pretty bad. Well, looks like these two's argument is over. This coming up is probably, in my opinion, the creepiest friggin' dream sequence in all the films. Just like this whole setup with Tina going outside and everything that's coming up. And just the first, like, real shot of Freddy. This is great. This is such a wonderful film for people that like little slashers and stuff. And, well, just a great film in general. It's a masterpiece of cinema as far as horror goes. And I know a lot of people like to try to discount horror or something like that. That's people that aren't really fans. They just can't connect with it, or can't see why other people would enjoy it. If you watch a horror movie and you really feel that way, I mean, that's your own personal opinion, and you like whatever you like. But as far as the horror community is concerned, and I'm concerned, this shit rules. This is just such a genius idea. Like, I don't even know if Craven gets enough credit for this. Like, such a brilliant, brilliant idea to have a killer like this. It's very inventive. Robert Englund, man, he is friggin' awesome as this character. I don't think that he can be replaced as Freddy. I mean, like, if someone just wants to imitate him, but I do think they could get another actor to do a great version of Freddy if they take it a different way and have a little bit of the Robert Englund type mannerisms with the character. I think it could still work. But I would say cast if you do a remake of this, if you ain't getting Kevin Bacon, cast an unknown. An unknown, I think, would work great. I think Kevin Bacon would be fine too, honestly. Oh, I love the creepiness of this. I love this shot. The one in the remake, man. Whew. This is amazing. This probably costs like $10, and it looks better than, like, to me, this looks better than friggin' Avatar. One little nitpick here, I don't really buy the character going outside to check out what this crazy crap is. I don't really buy that. I guess you could say, yeah, maybe she figures she's in a dream, but at the same time, I just don't totally buy this. But other than that, I love the look of this. Just the nighttime look, I just love it. It's a trap. I love that. Uh oh. You know you're screwed now. I love the inventiveness of this. Like, the inventiveness of, like, Freddy's long arms right here is just great. You just didn't get any of that in the 2010. Little running Freddy back there in the background. This looks a little shorter than Robert Englund. That was a good jump scare. I like the tree bit right here in a minute. Some of these effects are a little dated compared to what we got now, but at the same time they work because they fit in with the feel of the film. Because the film's so good, you don't really notice any of the effects that may be a little dated because they just flow so well with the flick. This film holds up really well. See, all the films that are often regarded as like horror classics or whatever, like usually always hold up in today's audience. I mean, for today. This is great. This is probably the most brutal death, in my opinion, in the whole franchise. That shit looked like it hurt. Well, there goes Rod. Come on, Rod. Good job, buddy. Uh-oh, Jack Sparrow to the rescue. I don't think she's gonna make it. People seem to be split on Heather Langenkamp's performances. Most of the fans love her. Personally, I think she does a great job in this film. She has one or two little instances of little weak acting, but for 99% of the film, I think she's great. I think she plays it perfectly for what she's asked to do. Her weakest performance is in Dream Warriors, which is a big step down performance-wise from this. She's passable in that film. I don't know what happened with that. New Nightmare, she's great as well. Probably her best performance, in my opinion, is New Nightmare. Oh well, we've entered the Saxton. John Saxon pretty much made a whole career out of playing this exact same character in multiple horror films. I just like to imagine this is the same exact guy from Black Christmas. Her character, I mean. Yeah, like it's like a little weak right there when she has to emote a little bit more in terms of the crying and stuff. It gets a little weak, but she's still great in this flick. As a whole, she is great. And plus, she's a cutie. Heather's a cutie. Ah, the famous Elm Street house with a blue door. Coincidentally, it was repainted red in the sequels. Actually, it looks better red, to be honest. Heather really has cool blue eyes right here in this scene. This movie's just full of like so much great like horror imagery. Oh, it's the FBI. And it's Rod. And he's shirtless. Show off those pecs, Rod. You know you did it, you lying bastard. Uh-oh, baby. Enter the dragon. One scene I kind of wish they would have left in that was pretty cool, I actually liked it, was when we come to the revelation that actually Freddy had killed siblings of each one of the main characters in this film. And it was deleted by Wes Craven, probably for timing or something. But I wish that kind of would have been left in. That would have been kind of neat. That all the kids that he's killing now, like had little brothers and sisters or whatever that were killed by Freddy back in the day when he was alive. That would have been pretty cool. And just gave it a more of a connection. Oh, Lin Shaye, who is pretty much the hero of the Insidious flicks. Falling asleep in class. Oh shit. I heard this is Daryl Hannah's brother, which is interesting. The one talking, I mean. I love this shot coming up right here. This is creepy as hell. That is wonderful. Wonderful. That's awesome. Of course, this gag here coming up is pretty damn funny. Ah, New Nightmare. I remember you. That's great. Freddy had a sense of humor in all the films, but here in the original, it's more of like a prick sense of humor, as compared to him like being like a Looney Tunes character when you get to the sixth film. Hey, you're not supposed to be down here. I love this franchise, like as a franchise, but if it just been this first film, I would have been honestly cool with that as well. Same thing for Halloween. Friday the 13th, I'm glad that they went on with them because Jason being the killer just is awesome in those flicks. I think Freddy's makeup in this film looks good. I do think his makeup gets better in the sequels. Here he just looks like a charred up dude who's been burnt. Just kind of a standard look. I do think his makeup is better in some of the sequels than it is here. I honestly think he looks better in part 2 than he does here. But this makeup is fine though. It's not like, it's not great, in my opinion. But it looks good. Oh, this is awesome. Robert's great as a character. He kind of doesn't get enough credit as an actor because he's good at other stuff too besides just Freddy. He's great in the V TV show. Have you ever watched V, the TV show, and want to see like Robert playing like a kind of a sweet, nice like alien? He's great in that. Awesome tongue. He's also great in Jack Brooks' Monster Slayer. The dude is great at doing comedy, like slapstick shit. One thing I find interesting is how like easily the kids fall asleep. I mean, even me getting I'm not old at all, but I'm just like 28. But even at just 28, shit, I could sit up for like 2 days straight without even feeling like I'm gonna fall asleep, to be honest. The characters do fall asleep a little easy, but that's in all these movies. And I understand why. I mean, you gotta have them go to sleep at least, a couple of times so you can get some cool imagery. Otherwise, it would be kind of boring to just watch them stay awake constantly. Oh, that's creepy. I love the score of this flick, too. This music is freaking awesome. I think Charles Bernstein does the music here. It's great. I've got to get the score. The music for Nightmare 2 is good as well. I don't mind that one either. Part 3, actually, it's the second best flick in the franchise, but it has a horrible score, in my opinion. The one from Nightmare on Elm Street 4 is better. Nightmare 5 score, I haven't listened to it in a long time. I'd have to give it another shot. The one for 6 is bad, too. New Nightmare score was great. The one for Freddy vs. Jason was forgettable. I don't even remember what the hell was in the remake. That movie is forgettable. I heard Nick Corey smoked some weed before he did this scene. He does a good job here. Just admitted it was you, buddy. I like that leather jacket he's got on. I want that jacket. Oh, I love this, the realization. Oh, you in it now, girl. This is a good one. Probably a pretty iconic, honestly, this shot coming up. No, Freddy's gonna try to get him some. Don't do it. Stay awake. You're screwed. I love the neat inventiveness of this. Nice rack, even though it's not Heather's. It's a body double. This is a great, fun, creative idea for trying to, come back up to the damn drain or whatever. Super Mom. All is well. Mom don't look too bad either. I think I've seen her in only one other film. There's a damn Howling movie. What we got here? Stay awake, vast acting, what? I love this right here. Evil Dead, baby. It's a shame about what happened with Ash vs. Evil Dead. Not to get off topic of A Nightmare on Elm Street right here, but canceling the show, that sucks. It was a great show, though. The ending was like a perfect ending for the Evil Dead franchise. At the same time, it leaves a huge amount of potential to carry on into a whole nother movie, really. And that's the only problem I have with the ending for the show. is that it just leaves so much potential for another movie that could be honestly the best film of the franchise. Or at least close. Evil Dead 2 would be tough to take out. Oh, Depp to the rescue. She looks 20 years old. I love these like little spooky type dream conversations in this film. There's kind of some of that in the sequels, but it works great here. Also like how this is like a suburban neighborhood where you think it would be, safer than like the woods or something. But Craven makes it work. It worked well in Halloween as well. I love this right here, how it like when she's walking or whatever and she hollers for Glenn, Johnny Depp's character, and he like looks out from behind a tree or whatever. It makes you, it confuses the audience on what, is it a dream or is it reality type thing. But that's her perception of where he is, from the dream world when he's really just like in the room sitting in the chair. It just works great. Just the atmosphere here. This atmosphere has never been duplicated in any of the sequels. If they ever do a new Nightmare on Elm Street and it's not like Freddy vs. Jason 2 or something, if it's going to be yet another reboot, then I say just do it as a sequel. Do it like a reboot sequel or whatever. Set it after Freddy vs. Jason. Have a new actor playing Freddy, but keep it in the same continuity as the other films. Don't like start all the way over again. Just keep going, but have somebody who can honor what Robert did, but carry on with his new thing as well. That can work. I think it'd be the best approach, especially after the horrible 2010 version. You better watch yourself. Damn, I should have brought some popcorn for this commentary. There she goes. I love this. See, this just stands up to Craven's directing. Like how she's looking in on Rod sleeping and it sees Freddy like getting ready to enter his dreams, but really, she's in her nightmare. Like how they're crossing over and stuff into the other dreams. Just works so well in this flick. You wouldn't really see that again until Dream Warriors, which is really only one film after the next one. But yeah. It works great here as well. Slightly dated on the shot of Krueger walking through the bars, but it still works great. I love the centipede here. I heard this thing was actually really poisonous, and when they were on the set, it like got loose and they couldn't find it, and nobody would return back to set until it was found because it was like severely poisonous. I love this, the Freddy jump scare here from behind the bush. It works perfect every damn time. It works. Robert Englund, who's not like an overly big guy, feels like he's like 10 feet tall in this role because he just brings such energy to it. Not to jump too far ahead, but with the ending of this film, it was the one time when they was filming it that Wes Craven and Bob Shaye got into a big fight because Wes wanted this to be like a solo flick. He didn't even see the potential for sequels, but Bob Shaye did, and he wanted an ending that showed that Freddy was still alive, whereas Wes Craven wanted a happy ending, just to end the film. And so they decided to try to merge both to please everybody. I still think Craven probably didn't like that, and I still think, even though I still think, well, he's passed away now, which is horrible. I miss the guy, but I don't think he ever really enjoyed doing that. And you can see some of the alternate endings on YouTube, on the Blu-ray or DVDs or whatever if you got them. And there is one that does work better, where it is just them like driving off into the fog, and it's the jump rope girls still playing jump rope. It's more of a subtle ending. I kind of like that better. Just in my personal opinion, I honestly think the whole film is a dream. That was Wes Craven's original idea, and I do think some of that is left over in the cut that he ended up releasing. Because there's so many clues to the film, like all being a dream, and looking at it, and it's just the way it plays. Like, just discount the sequels because they were never planned. So when they brought Nancy back in Dream Warriors, they never really explained the ending to this film. It's because they really had no idea on how to explain it, because they never planned for sequels to begin with. So they just use the audience to just overlook it. But seeing this film as a solo flick, which is what it really is, or was what it was meant to be, I think the ending works perfect as like the whole thing being a dream. But I know people will try to question that and it's fine. You can have your own interpretations of it. That's what we're all different people. We all get different things out of the movies we watch or whatever. It's film, and it's kind of an art form. We all interpret it different ways. But personally, just watching this film as a solo, there's so many clues in the flick about it being a dream. Like I said at the beginning with the jump rope girls, how it transitions into them. That's so dreamy, and then how it goes over to Nancy and everybody, like walking down the street heading for school, and then at the end with the jump rope girls again. To me, that just helps signify that the whole thing was a dream. To me, it's like Inception, honestly, in that way, and it's the inception of horror movies before Inception. But yeah, I know some people will probably bring up, why is Freddy so human acting when he's supposedly in the real world at the end? If the whole thing was a dream, why didn't you just kill her or whatever? But my thoughts on that is that works because it makes you think that it's reality, but then in the end it's a twist to where, nope, she's still dreaming. Or that she might still be dreaming. I just think that coheses together so well. John Saxon here to the rescue. And plus, it's just most likely Freddy effing with her. Just because he's giving her a nightmare where, she thinks she's going to win and then she doesn't. I do believe she does defeat Freddy at the end or weakens him severely. I don't think she kills him. And that's just taking this film by itself, not counting the sequels, which, he obviously doesn't die in this film because he's back in all the sequels. What I personally think happened at the end is I do think the whole movie was a dream, and I think at the end, when she mans up on Freddy, or whatever you want to say it, or womans up, and takes away his energy, I don't think that she kills Freddy. I just think that she banishes Freddy from her dreams. I don't think he's dead. I just think that she took the fear back away from him, and he can't enter her dreams anymore. To me, that's what it symbolizes. Well, there goes Rod. And just Nancy's speech at the end when she talks about this whole thing was a dream, you were never alive, or whatever. To me, that you can interpret that one of two ways. That she's literally saying that the whole thing is a dream, she's turning her back on him, and she's finally waking up at the end, or at least she thinks she wakes up at the end when she walks out of the room into the light. That it's her first time actually waking up since the beginning of the movie, and the whole thing was a dream. Or you can just interpret it as like a metaphor, like Freddy is just really a dream, like a creature of dreams, and that by defeating him, and that the whole thing's a dream because Freddy isn't actually real. It's kind of like a metaphor. I think you can go like that, like she's like it's not meant to be taken literal. Once again, Heather's great blue eyes. I also love this, how we actually get to see like the funeral of the character. It makes the film feel more real. But yeah, the whole metaphor thing with the ending, how Freddy himself like is a dream, that he's not even real. I think you can go that way, where she's not speaking so much literally that the whole movie was a dream. I think you can kind of see it one of two ways. Either one works, really. It doesn't really matter which one you prefer. Personally, I prefer the everything was a dream thing because I just feel like it's more logical that way. I feel like it just is more interesting that way as well. When it comes to Dream Warriors, though, Nancy states that her friends were killed by Freddy, but you gotta, I'm just counting this flick as like a standalone. That movie was never planned, so when it came time to finally get to that flick, they had to, you know, try to fit it in somehow. They still ignored the last shot of this movie and never tried to explain it, which there really was no way to explain it. If you want to expand on making sequels, there's really no way to explain the ending to this without doing somewhat of a cheat. If you're doing a sequel and bringing Nancy back. But I'm glad she did come back, though. Roger Rabbit. For anybody that doesn't know, he voices Roger Rabbit, the doctor here. I think Hope Lang plays the mom. She does a good job. And I think that blonde-haired chick over there, who's actually pretty hot, is Craven's ex-wife at the time. Or was his wife at the time, and then became his ex-wife. I love this acting from Heather here in a minute. Also, always find these dream discussions, like from characters about what are dreams and stuff like that. I just always find that interesting in these films, in these nightmare films. She's smoking. That would never happen today. This is gonna go bad. Like the little eye twitch right there. This is what I'm talking about. This acting right here is great. I love it. Like I said, I'm sorry, people. I'm gonna be gushing over this movie a lot. So if I get a little bit annoying, I'm sorry about that. I just can't help it. I love the gray hair type thing here that Craven put in there as well. You know, like the whole thing when something scares you so bad and your hair might turn white or whatever. It works well in this film. I think Poltergeist did something similar. And yeah, maybe Craven was inspired from that film to do that here. I don't know. Either way, it works in both flicks, so who the hell cares? Oh, the hat. See, I would think that some parents, once she brought the hat out, would probably try to help the kid or be more inclined to. But with the parents in this film, with the way it works, them covering up the whole Krueger story and everything about how they actually burned him, I do think it makes sense that she would still be in denial about it because she does not want to deal with the sins of her past. Trying to make Heather look more ragged. She still looks good though. Here comes the intensity. I like how Freddy has such a big ego, he has his own name stitched in his hat. Uh-oh, bitch slap. It's going down. Nancy's tired of this BS. I honestly think that the Dream Master, played by Lisa Wilcox, was a better developed character than Nancy in this film in Part 4. But this is a much better film than Part 4. Even though Part 4 is my personal favorite, and it's just like, because it's so much fun, it's just a fun film. This is easily a much better written film, and much, like, all as a whole, better acted. But Lisa Wilcox's Dream Master character, I do think was better developed than Heather in this film. I also think that her performance was slightly stronger as well. But Heather's performance in New Nightmare, I think, is the best of the series, from the hero's point of view, anyway. See, here's Johnny Depp again. That's why I always felt like he's kind of like the useless character in the film. He just doesn't really do anything, really. He just kind of disappears for big portions, and, well, disappeared for a big portion. He's back again. He just kind of plays the token boyfriend. He's just not very interesting. He doesn't have the rebel gimmick like Rod had, and he doesn't have the coolness and setup of like Tina getting in the drug across the room death. He's just kind of there, at least until his death, which his death is awesome. His acting isn't bad, it's fine. That damn burger looks good. I love how this sets up like the Nancy Home Alone traps at the end. Got some palm trees in the background there. It looks like California. In the sequels, they establish it's Ohio, though. Got the bars on the windows. It just amazes me that this film, you know, like films like Friday the 13th, the original, this film, Halloween, they just spawn like these big, huge freaking franchises that keep going. One thing I've always preferred, I'm a bigger Jason fan than a Nightmare on Elm Street fan, but I'll say it right here and right now. Freddy Krueger is a better character than Jason. I like Jason because I think he's cooler than Freddy, but Freddy's a better character, and I like Freddy's mythology better than I do Jason's. I just find the whole dream stuff like really interesting. And I think it's honestly really interesting, at least the first 5. They don't really do much with it in 6. 7 doesn't really count because it's not really an Elm Street film. It's kind of its own thing. And then Freddy vs. Jason, once again, doesn't really do anything with it either. But in the first 5, there's a lot of cool dream stuff. You know, the quality of the movies goes up and down, but there's still a lot of cool dream stuff in them. Here's where we would have got the scene where she tells Nancy about her sibling or whatever and everybody else's siblings that were killed by Freddy. That would have been a cool scene. I'm surprised they didn't leave that in. I like how you can see the sledgehammer in the background back there. That'll be used later in the film to hit the hell out of Freddy. Hell, I can't believe we're almost at the climax of this thing. This movie's went by fast. Her acting is good here. I like how she tells the story of, you know, how they all burn him and everything. Like the origin story for Freddy is just like such a perfect story for a horror character. I guess I might as well touch upon like the whole child molestation angle of Freddy or whatever. It was always intended by Craven for Freddy to be a child molester as well as child killer. I mean, it's pretty obvious that he's also a child fondler. But what I'm saying is that was removed at the last minute because there was some child killing crimes or something like that going on at the time, and Craven didn't want to be accused of exploiting off of that. So they removed it at the last minute, but the writer left it in as subtext. You can see the subtext in almost every time Freddy shows up of him being like a pervert, to be honest. Because all these characters, despite being played by older actors, are meant to be like teenagers. Like 15, 16. And Freddy's always like sticking his tongue out at them, or even like molesting them in some of the sequels, like Monica Keena and Freddy vs. Jason, and pretty much raped her. Or at least tried to. It's always been hinted at in all the films. But the difference between how they use it here and the remake is in the remake, that's all Freddy's about. That's all he is. There's nothing else to him. He's not a child killer as well, he's just a molester. So it doesn't even make any sense why he ever used the damn glove. Here they leave it in a subtext, and it works better because it makes him more intimidating to have him as a child killer as well as a sexual predator, and have the sexual predatorness not be the main, driving force of the character. Because once you do that, and if you take away the child killer aspect and just make him a fondler, it makes him like disgusting, you know, or at least more disgusting when you put that to the forefront, but at the same time it makes him less threatening, because if he's just a guy who just picks on kids and just fondles them or whatever, he's just not very, he loses some of his intimidation factor, because usually people like that are people who are pretty like weak and they're just not very intimidating, and they easily could have their asses kicked. It takes away Freddy's like badass factor of him being tough, because if he just like preys on little children just to be gross with them, then he just doesn't seem as tough anymore. I don't have any problem with them wanting to put more emphasis on the molestation factor of the character or whatever, but they need to put just as much on the child killer angle as well, and make that the forefront, because that's what gives him his like really scary, creepy vibe. The fact that he actually murders little children, that's fucked up. Well, both are effed up, but you know, that one added in with the other one makes it even friggin' worse. He's listening to his records, and he is watching TV at the same damn time. He's a multitasker. This Johnny Depp death is probably the second best in the film. It's a great like gore death, but I don't think it has like the meanness of the drug across the ceiling type thing with Tina. I think that one plays just a little better, but this one is friggin' awesome as well. This is cool. Like, her mom took her coffee pot and everything out, but luckily she has a spare. I just love how the character has, like, you know, a hidden coffee pot. I think Craven took that actually out of one of the little trivia here. I know most people watching this, listening to this commentary probably already know most of these facts, but when Craven got the idea for this movie, it was from newspaper clippings about people who were, like, traumatized and coming back and having like night terrors from their dreams, and then just, you know, dying from it. So I just think it works well like that, because what I'm trying to say is he took the idea of like the person having like an extra coffee pot or whatever, a hidden one, from one of those stories, I believe. I'm pretty sure I remember hearing that, and it just works so good in the film. I love this dude like staring through Nancy's window or whatever. He doesn't look like Edward Scissorhands' dad. Where the hell's Vincent Price? It's pretty funny how he thinks like Heather Langenkamp's character is like a wacko or whatever. Coming up, the tongue gag, which should be carried again through like every sequel, some form of Freddy's tongue. Also like how the mom has more alcohol hidden. Just like how Nancy had coffee hidden, the mom has more friggin' alcohol. Pretty much, you get the idea that the parents can't really deal with what they did by burning Freddy alive. Or at least some of them can't. And the ones who can't always turn to like substances or other things to take their mind away from it. And for the mom, it's just like constant alcohol. trying to save your life, Jack Sparrow. Answer the phone. Comes the phone gag. What's the setup for it right here? She rips it out of the wall. This is great. I love how Craven sets this up. We saw the cord get ripped out of the wall, and now it's ringing again. Freddy's always been able to manipulate the real world slightly, but I've always took it as the more souls he has from the kids, the more he kills, is the more he can manipulate the real world. Give me some tongue. Of course, she can't get out of the damn house. This is an awesome death for Johnny Depp's character. It's just amazing how these classic films, the horror films that are the most popular, always have usually an actor in it who starts out, playing either a bit part or maybe even a main role sometimes, but then they just catapult to stardom, other stuff. That's just really interesting. I love how the radio station or whatever is named KRGR, or the channel, I mean. This is great. Just so inventive here. You just didn't get any of this in the 2010 one, which I hate to keep harping on that flick, but since it's a redo of this thing, you expect to see some type of creativity. They also took so much of Freddy's. I can understand wanting to dial back Freddy's humor to make him more scary. I love this ocean of blood here. To make him more scary. That's fine, but they took so much of Freddy's charm out. It was the exact opposite. It was the same. It was creating a new problem by going too much the other way. Freddy was so dry in the remake that he was almost uninteresting. Enter the Dragon. Saxton to the rescue. Too late, Sax. He's dead, man. I like this little nod between Heather Langenkamp and John Saxon's character here. She pretty much knows her boyfriend's dead. Now she's all by herself. Her parents, they don't believe her, and they're in too much of denial to help. Her friends are all dead, so Nancy has to take it upon herself to kick Freddy's ass. I would have been fine with this film being a standalone, but I am glad we have the sequels because, well, first of all, I like the sequels, most of them anyway. And also, I think there's so much cool mythology here with the dreams and everything that I do think other films could really expand upon this. And some of them did and some of them didn't. None of them ever did as good a job as this one. But they still added on some really cool stuff. So for just pure enjoyment factor and just wanting to see more of the Freddy world, I am glad the sequels were made. But had it just been this flick, I would have been cool with that. Halloween, though, I do think Halloween should have just been one and done with the first movie. I know there's this new one coming out. I've heard really good things about the trailer and everything that was shown at CinemaCon, and it sounds good. And I like the idea of ignoring all the sequels except for the first film and just picking up from there, which is probably the only logical thing you can do at this point. The timeline is so convoluted in that franchise. That's the one thing I like about the Freddy and Jason movies, is for the most part, yeah, there's some weak continuity here and there in the Jason flicks, but for the most part, they connect rather well. They hold up pretty good in terms of, like, you know, one long franchise, whereas Halloween is just friggin' all over the place. Time to kick some Freddy ass. I love Rambo Nancy here. Of course, there kind of is a plot hole here. I mean, why wouldn't she just, like, find a gun and just, when bringing Freddy out to the real world, if it works, just, like, blow his head off? But, I mean, you know, it's a movie. That would make it a little too easy. It's better to do all the traps and have more fun with it than to just blow Freddy's head off when he comes out in the real world and just be... I mean, that wouldn't be much of a friggin' climax. You failed, John. Craven mentions this on his commentary, how the roles have been reversed now, and the daughter has become the parent, and the parent has become, well, the daughter, the child. And she's putting her to sleep. I like that as well. That was a good move on Craven to do a role reversal now. The parent has just, like, become so secluded because she just can't deal with everything that's going on. Or so subdued, you know, beat down. Also like the little sweet moment there of Nancy saying she loves her mom. That's a good little moment for the characters. Originally, after Johnny Depp gets pulled down in the bed, there was a scene where his body comes back up and falls over dead. You didn't really need that, so I'm fine with him cutting it. Starting the timer. This is a great shot right here. Pretty much became like the shot of the poster, really. Great poster for this flick, too. Nightmare on Elm Street movies have always had like great cover art and great posters and everything. I love the one for part 4. It's kind of like a swirl of like Freddy's face merged with Alice. That was great. She's coming, Fred. Also, kind of like how there's like a friggin' thing of hung up on the wall over there, a rug hung up with like dogs playing poker. That thing has been like around for freaking decades. Must be that dogs playing poker thing. I like how Freddy's like kind of a little hesitant about jumping out at her when she's like looking for him here. I also like how she finds like little things like that her friends had, like little knickknacks and stuff, like Johnny Depp's bloody headphones and everything, and the crucifix and Rod's switchblade, like representations of the fact that they're dead and Freddy has claimed them. I like that little thing too. This movie works so well as a horror flick because, yeah, the killer's in their dreams and there's the mess with reality and everything, but it stays as a scary slasher film first and foremost, and that's why it works. When the sequels started getting made, they would get more and more outlandish with the dreams, and it would just totally make you feel more like you were, well, watching a film. Where is he? The tension build-up to this is great as well. Oh, here we go. There we go. I like this. Also like that. I like this little shot of Freddy's glove. Sweeney Todd, no! I guess he got a shave. There we go. One little continuity error there when Freddy did the jump scare. He had his hat, and then later on, right here, he's missing it. It's supposed to be because she took it out of the dreams. Which I find it funny that Freddy couldn't just like materialize another hat inside the dream world. It's like he lost his hat. Well, he's hatless. This is a great shot right here coming up when she's like looking around for Freddy, and then he pops up over there underneath the weeds, or the flowers or whatever, everything that came down. That was great. Just be real quiet. Oh shit, it's Freddy. See, I know some people will try to say Freddy's acting, really human here and really weak. So if this is all a dream, then it doesn't really add up totally. But in my opinion, I think it works because this could just be another way of Freddy just like messing with her. And also, this being the first film, they would amp Freddy up more and more power-wise in the sequels. Oh, sledgehammer. Boom. I like this little shot right here where Freddy goes over to the window and like rakes the glass. That was cool. This is a very fun climax. This right here is the perfect revenge against Freddy. I like how Freddy's like screaming like a bitch, like, no! That's cool how Nancy waited up there. She was clever enough to know that he was going to keep coming, so she knocks his brains out with the door and knocks him all the way back down. Of course, it's a stunt man. It's not Robert, but it looks good. Come the hell on, Saxton. This movie has went by quick, man. I like the fiery footsteps. This skeleton right here coming up with the mom does look a little fake. But I like the creepiness of this, how she gets like sucked down into the spirit world or whatever. Don't worry, Saxon, she's got this. Another little interesting trivia thing, Wes Craven named Freddy Krueger after a kid who used to bully him in high school. I wonder if that guy ever found out about that. So here's where it comes up and Nancy says she knows this whole thing is a dream and that Freddy's not really alive. Now either she's meaning that literally or she's saying it as like a metaphor thing where Freddy himself, is a dream and he's not really alive. But I think that she means it literally. Like I said, take this film as a solo, and I think she means it literally because she says specifically she wants her friends and stuff back. So to me, that's her saying that she wants to wake up and that she knows this whole thing is a dream. To me, that's the only logical way the film plays in terms of the ending we get. It's either that or Freddy himself is a dream and not really real. To me, it makes more logical sense that the whole movie is a dream. And at the end, she thinks she wakes up, but, presto, she really doesn't. Or maybe it wasn't even really her dream, but maybe it was, the mom's dream or one of the other kids' dreams, but it would have to be Nancy because she's the main character, and that's what makes it more interesting by having it be her dream. I do like how she defeats Freddy. Even though I consider this whole movie a dream, I still do believe that she does defeat Freddy, and that the thing that he does to her at the end is kind of just like a last scare thing with the last bit of energy he has left. I do believe that she does defeat Freddy, which is why you don't actually see Freddy here. It's just like her having a nightmare. See, to me, this goes along with the idea that the whole movie was a dream because she thinks she's actually woke up now. I guess you could also say maybe she thought the whole movie was, she thought everything that happened was one big long dream, but it actually wasn't, that Nancy herself was wrong, but I don't think that's what the film was trying to go for, personally. Heather looking cute as a button. I think the other ending would have worked slightly better because it's more subtle, with them just like driving off into the distance with the jump rope girls playing or whatever. And so it would have been one of those endings where you could have like made up your own mind, like was it a dream or was it actually reality? Here, to me, by doing this, I think there's only one way to interpret it, that it is a dream. Like I said, you gotta remember the sequels weren't planned, so this movie was just meant to be its own thing. And this ending is like totally ignored in Dream Warriors, which is really the only way they could have done it to bring back Nancy's character. I love the mom getting pulled to the door. These jump rope girls, like being the ending of it, is just so perfect, so perfect for the ending of the movie. Personally, I just love the idea of the film being like all a dream and Nancy thinking she woke up when she really didn't. It's kind of like that Inception thing. Even though in Inception, though, I do believe that Leonardo DiCaprio's character was in the real world. But, not to compare too much with Inception, just to focus on this flick, I think it works best that way. And I just think it makes the film more interesting that way as well. This is a masterpiece of horror cinema. It's a great flick, easily one of the best horror films ever made, and at least the second Halloween is slightly better than this film. This would be the second best slasher film ever made. Number 3 would be Friday the 13th. Those are easily top 3 slasher flicks. So yeah, we're on the credits now. I thank everybody for joining me for the film here. If you listen to this commentary all the way through, you're a trooper. I tried to keep you entertained as much as I could without gushing too much over the flick. And it was cool, y'all, to spend time with me here on YouTube, listen to this damn thing. If you made it this far, I congratulate you. And eventually I will do some commentaries for the other films when I get around to them. But I want to do maybe a few movie reviews in between while I'm at it. Hell, I even like this song right here at the end here. actually consider Nightmare 2 underrated. It's not a good movie, but it's alright. Yeah, so just to wrap it up here, this has been a lot of fun, and I'll see you guys again with the next video.